Good evening and welcome to the Writer's Block. I'm your host, and as you know by now, I interview artists about their craft, what they're working on, what they've done in the past, what they might have planned for the future. We cast a pretty wide net. We've had on artists of all brands. We've had on some musicians, we've had on writers, we've had on sculptors, all kinds of folks. It's a wide net. So if you have an idea for a guest who might be good for the Writer's Block, watch for our address at the end of the show. There's also another address I want you to look for. It's a URL. That's a website address, theyatesgame.org. It's about a play that's going to be in New York that opened originally, premiered in Gloucester, and I'd like you to know about that. Maybe get down there to New York and see it. Tonight, I'm very happy to say we have a really important local celebrity artist whose web exploits and website work is nothing short of really an artwork that's grown over the years and become very, very impressive for its scope and its beauty. And it's called Good Morning Gloucester, and I know you've heard of it, even if you haven't been to it. And the gentleman who's visiting us invented Good Morning Gloucester, Joey Ciaramitaro. And I want to give you a couple background facts, because although I know you recognize that name, you might not know that he was born and raised in Gloucester, went down south, down the line to Bishop Fenwick High School, and then later to Bentley, where he studied economics and finance. He wasn't always in the classroom, though, because when he was 9 years old and for summers after and now full-time, he was working at the family company, Captain Joe and Son in East Gloucester, a company founded by his grandfather in 1953. So we've got a lot of things to talk to Joey Ciaramitaro about. Thanks for being down, coming in after work to be on the Writer's Block, Joey. I appreciate it.
It's great to be here. I have to say, I like to do the corrections a little bit. You got everything just about perfect.
Okay.
But I have to always give credit. I have a partner, my cousin Frankie, down the dock, and so I'm not the sole owner of Captain Joe and Sons.
Okay.
And the other part is my cast of characters that produce Good Morning Gloucester. It's not just my blog. I have a bunch of contributors that help me, and the community really submits a lot of the content. So it's a community blog. It's not just my blog.
I realize you do need help on that, but I don't want you to get too humble on us. You started it, and it's really a wonderful project. You had me on, interviewed me about 3 or 4 years ago, and I always had in my mind, I'm going to turn the tables on Joe. I'm going to get him on my show to talk about what he's doing over there.
I remember when we did your interview. At the time, it was the longest interview I had done to date. I think we broke it up into sections because
I remember, because
YouTube at that time didn't take that long of a clip. So that was it, but because we had so much to talk about.
I'm always interested in the background of things. Now, this is really, I think, a work of art. But you work down in East Gloucester. Tell us what you do for the business, and then where you got the idea and when you got the idea to do Good Morning Gloucester.
Well, I was, we're down the dock, and Gloucester is a fishing community. We pride ourselves on being a fishing community, and because I'm down the dock, there was this message board, Cape Ann Online, and I'd post pictures from the being down there, and people onto this message board. And this message board, a lot of people seem to respond to this, this type of industrial waterfront stuff, because when 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 80% of the people that lived in this town were directly related to the fishing industry. Yeah. And now that's probably inverse, if not less than 20%. So people love that we're from a fishing industry, but we get to bring it to them. So that was kind of how it got started, and I think a big part of the popularity of it is because Gloucester itself is so diverse and so wild that we have this cultural riches of things to do that you couldn't do this blog in these bedroom communities. We're just blessed to be here, and I'm just happy to be the guy that's in the spot to be able to bring it to people.
Where do you get the energy to do it? If you worked all day and you've got to do something on the website even if there's helpers, it still takes some energy.
It takes a lot of time, but you have to understand, I get up at 3:45, 7 days a week. I work 7 days a week, but we get to the walk to the dock around 4:45, and I usually don't get out of there till 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. So the boats come in, and we're very active for chunks of time, but in between, there's a little bit of time in between, and all that time in between is where I get on the computer and fill it.
Describe what you do for work when you
Oh,
start at 5 and boats coming in.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, in the morning we go down there, and the lobster boats come to us, and we source their bait for them so that they don't have to chase bait all over town, and they know that they can go lobstering. We lower the bait down on the boat, send them off, do our paperwork from the day before, Frank and I, and then by 8:30 in the morning, things tend to slow down a little bit, and I'll start to work on the blog a little bit, and Frank might watch CNBC or something, and then the boats start coming back in around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and in between there we'll be filling lobster orders for restaurants or our wholesale accounts, and then once the boats start coming in, it's just grading lobsters and putting them up to get rid of them at the end of the night. So it's Groundhog Day every day. I mean, it's the same thing every day, and the blog is such a blessing because of that repetition. I get to do all this. I live vicariously through all this other stuff that happens on the blog.
So you're busy all day, whether on the blog or
I have to be
with
moving. I think my mom was like this, and I think we have a motor that just if we're sitting still, we get anxious. Anxiety ridden. You got to be creating, got to be pushing the boundaries of the blog, and I feel like if we're not progressing on it, we're dying a little bit. You know what I mean? I think artists. I think when I always talk to artists like painters or writers or something, and I think when they're not creating, they go into depression a little bit, and I feel the same kind of way. If I'm not pushing the boundaries of the blog of what we're doing, or making something better, or creating something else, I feel like I get really kind of jittery.
In connection with that high energy, I want to mention that you have set up a camera before we started. You're taping our tape.
we're behind the scenes.
This is going to be on
Good
Morning Gloucester later after we broadcast.
That's right. That's right.
So
we're way over there, but yeah.
So we're taping of the tape of the tape is going to be on
the tape
on the website.
I hope we didn't get any swear words in the preamble before we started.
I don't think so.
I don't
remember swearing.
No, I'm just joking. But yeah.
You mentioned some pieces of paper you brought over, some things you wanted to make sure you talked about before I got going or before we lost track. What did you have in mind?
I wanted to talk about a couple of well, first of all, I wanted to congratulate the team effort. Our blog won CBS Boston's Most Valuable Blog People's Choice Award, which is, it's all of Massachusetts to be recognized as the best blog. When they called me to tell me, it was one of these moments where I know Good Morning Gloucester is really special and everything, but to get that kind of, we were up against a lot of blogs. I mean, there's got to be 1 million bloggers in Gloucester, right? So to get that kind of validation, I was very emotional when I got that phone call, because it was like a validation of all this hard work, and it's not for money. We don't do it for money. It's all a labor of love. So that was really cool. So I want to thank all my contributors and all the people that send in stuff, and all the Good Morning Gloucester communities, the friends of the blog, and everything else.
I know on a lot of these efforts, people say, sometimes I volunteer, they say, how much do you make on that? I say, no, you don't make money, you spend money.
That's
how
about
much you're going to drop doing it.
It's fun. Question. Yeah, and then another initiative that I'm really proud of, that we just launched, GloucesterWebcam.com. And what it is, it's an idea that Gloucester's obviously the most beautiful place in the world, and we have all these vistas all around Cape Ann, right? Between the working waterfront and the beaches and the back shore, the rocky coastline, and the downtown. So we already have 30 webcams signed up of all these vistas from the hotels and the restaurants, out shooting outside.
It's live
streaming thing. But the idea was to get a picture of what these vistas are for each business or community organization. And then when on one page, 30 of them right now, by the time this airs, probably going to be a lot more. You click on that picture, and then you go to that company or organization's website, where it may have their menu or their entertainment thing in addition to, their streaming feed. Because a lot of people have websites, fantastic websites, but they're static. And once someone goes to it once, there's no reason to go back to it.
Yeah.
So this is an initiative to help Gloucester businesses or organizations to the schooner Lannon, the schooner Adventure has a webcam, Seven Seas Whale Watch, Latitude 43, all the backshore hotels.
So you'll go to Good Morning Gloucester and you see a page with these names highlighted and click on.
Actually, you
click on
go
the
to
name?
gloucesterwebcam.com, and then you click on each one has a picture of what their view is with an arrow, like a play arrow.
So it's a separate website then, Good Morning Gloucester.
Yeah, gloucesterwebcam.com. So you click on, say, the Atlantis, if there's a coastal storm, the Atlantis Ocean View Inn. You click on that and it shows the waves crashing on the back shore. Or you click on the Latitude 43 one, and it's out their window towards Harbor Cove. You see the lobster boats coming and going and offloading. The Rocky Neck accommodations, Smith's Cove, Harbor View Inn of the Gloucester Fisherman statue. There's literally 30 of them.
I'm really interested. You're old enough so that when you were a kid, there weren't any computers around, and the internet wasn't around. Even when you were in your 20s, the internet was maybe a
20s. No, it wasn't really 30. It's right around when I was 30. Yeah,
it was some of these ideas still in the future.
Right.
How did you? So you were an adult when all this stuff developed, the
Yeah.
internet and websites and webcams. How did you get so interested in it and so practiced in that?
I never really had a computer class. Well, apparently I did, but it was nothing to do with the internet or coding or anything like that. It was very rudimentary. But I was just a geeky kid that, inquisitive. And like when people are intimidated by technology, I always tell them Google is your friend. If you have a question on how to do something on the internet, seriously, if you type that question into Google, 9 times out of 10, you get the answer. I swear to God.
Well, the same question will pop up before you finish typing.
Yeah.
Somebody else has asked it.
Yeah. So it was trial and error, and feeling like I'm not going to break this thing. I could always go back and fix it, whatever happens, and just learn by trial and error.
I like the mix, the combination of work. Fishing, dockside work, and the computers. You usually think of people fiddling around with computers, just being in a kind of a dark room by themselves and
cubicle.
Never talk to anybody. Yeah.
No.
But it's the opposite case with you.
Yeah, I was I was on the board of directors at the chamber, so I knew kind of what was going on in the business community. And when I deliver lobsters, I'm in all these restaurants, so I knew all these chefs and when the new restaurant's going to open up, and I get to so it's. I feel like I'm kind of in a unique place where I have all these different. These artists. I'm good friends with a lot of artists. So we have a gallery down at Rocky Neck at Madfish Wharf, the Good Morning Gloucester Gallery. So run by my friend E.J. Kahn. So
you're very good at recognizing other people because it's not a solo effort, and that's good. I want you to mention a couple of people that are involved with Good Morning Gloucester as web sources or photographers. You have some wonderful
this is
photography.
I'm going to get in a lot of trouble because I have well, I'll tell you, Paul Frontero I have to mention first. Paul Frontero, he always busts my chops because I do these interviews. I'm scared that I'm going to leave someone out, so I don't say anyone's name. I just said everybody in general. But so Paul Frontero, here you are. I finally mentioned you.
I know Paul.
He's a great guy. Sharon Lowe was one of the first contributors I brought on board with me, and she actually has editorial control. She has
Sharon, I know she did the picture for Salt and Light, a book of poetry that I brought out a couple of years ago, and she donated the cover. A wonderful and talented photographer.
Yeah. E.J. Lefevre, she does the Did You Know series of all these. She uncovers all these artifacts of things that like longtime residents don't know, and she came out with her own book, which is people should get, and she also came out with a calendar, a fisherman's calendar, all faces of the working waterfront. It's on sale right now. You can get that at Dogtown Bookshop. You can get that. Then there is daily contributors. We'll go Marty Luster, a transplant. Listen to this. This is a great story. Marty Luster came to Gloucester, I think it was 2 Octobers ago, to with his son for there was the Dory raffle, and his son, and it was his first time he had ever come to Gloucester. I brought him to the Dory raffle down at the Maritime Heritage Center. He had so much fun. He went home, never had been to Gloucester before, told his wife, we're moving to Gloucester.
Really?
And within a couple months, they moved to Gloucester, and I invited him to be a contributor. He's a phenomenal photographer, really good.
How long ago was that when he moved here?
About, God, it's got to be over a year, right around a year now. But Marty's a great guy, phenomenal photographer, really good photographer.
I can't imagine anybody watching is not familiar with Good Morning Gloucester, but if they are not, if they are not, maybe the photography is just spellbinding. It's really, you got some wonderful art there on
Donna Artizzoni is another great community person. She's not the greatest photographer, but her energy, and she's always at the events. Because I'm working 7 days a week, I can count on Donna. Donna is like my go-to. Like, if there's an event, she'll be there covering it for us. She's fantastic. Then Joanne Silva does our music at 12 o'clock every day. She has the music slot. She covers like local bands in town. You're gonna get me in so much trouble. Sarah Kelly from Rockport does some Rockport posts every once in a while. Mike Lindbergh. God Almighty!
If you forgot anybody, we'll have you back for a second show.
Thank you. Yeah.
And you can bring the list if those people are.
It's so intimidating. Yeah.
Are upset.
God, it's brutal. Yeah.
Well, as you say, there a lot of people are involved, and it's impossible to remember everybody. Even if you might forget the most important person out there, but it's.
Yeah.
As you say, it's a long work day. We both
It
had
is a long day. Yeah.
What's next for Good Morning Gloucester? Now you mentioned the new site.
Yeah.
GloucesterWebcam.com.
GloucesterWebcam. Yeah.
Webcam. What's going on at Good Morning Gloucester?
Well, we have a couple of other events coming up. We have probably by the time this airs is going to be right when this event's going to take place. It's Hairless for Charity.
Hairless for Charity.
Hairless for Charity. Yeah, I had this idea.
You got to explain that.
Last year, I had this idea that, people love pain and stuff, and as I get older, you probably have this problem, but like as you get older, I'm getting bald. You can see my bald spot right here.
Well, I'm ahead of you.
It's so cruel, this joke that God has played on us, because hair grows out of our nostrils and our ears and all the places you don't want it to grow. Your back of your arms. So I'm like this hairy beast at this point in my life, and I'm like, okay, let's make this into a positive. I will donate. Deborah Cool Studios volunteered to. They're gonna rip hair from my back with the wax strips, and we're gonna write names of people that donate money to whatever charity they want on the strip, and we're gonna film it, and they're gonna rip the strips off my back.
So that's gonna be the spring of 2012?
2012, yeah.
We'll look for dates on the website.
Yeah, and we have one other thing, Bikini and Speedo Dodgeball at the Farm Bar and Grill, which is a really popular event. We did it last year, and teams of men and women. The women wear bikinis, the men wear Speedos, and it's in the dead of the winter when there's a big snowpack out in the back. They have this huge volleyball court. They take down the net, and they play dodgeball in bikinis and speedball in the sub-zero temperatures, and it's so much fun. And it's for charity.
Are you going to volunteer?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to be out there freezing?
No, I'm going to be filming.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But there's teams from all these different bars that participate in organizations.
And that's going to be every winter?
Yeah, this will be our second season, and we're looking for teams. So it's a lot of fun.
So you got to be hardy, huh?
You got to be hardy. I'm telling you, it's like one of the greatest visual treats you'll ever see. It's so fun. Yeah.
So you're really busy on planning events, not just working on the computer.
Yeah, no, people say, what's this agenda? What's your agenda with this? What's the end goal? And I'm like, there's one agenda. The agenda is to have fun and to make people laugh, make people smile, and
Well, Good Morning Gloucester certainly does that.
that's it. We're just trying to stay positive. There's enough negative out there. Thank goodness for the Gloucester Times and the reporting, the hardcore investigative reporting, and thank goodness I don't have to do that. I could just concentrate on the fun stuff and bring the fun stuff to the people. And we have the people that, the good investigators and the good, journalists, because I'm not a journalist. I'm just trying to have fun. And thank God there's journalists to keep politicians honest and to report on tax classification and the stuff that I don't want to have to report about,
I like what you said earlier about liking technology. You say Google's your friend.
Yeah.
And I know some people, like my wife, are a little afraid of the computer, but it's once it does something for you, like if you're working on a 100-page document and all of a sudden you want to change this person's hair from red to brown, and you just click it in, and every time red was in there, brown appears, and it just makes you appreciate, even in that primitive way, what's going on.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, what would you say to people who are watching and they go to email once in a while, but it kind of scares them, and they don't know much about computers, but they've visited Good Morning Gloucester, and they want to know how to get into that themselves.
To blogging, you mean?
Yeah, what do you do? What's a blog? Define blog.
A blog is like an online journal that, you could post pictures. It could be just writing. Someone's writing. It could be videos that get posted there. It's a collection of a person's thoughts or a bunch of people's thoughts in journal form, and it is when a post goes and then another post comes, that post goes down, and then the next one appears at the top.
And anybody can enter a comment.
And on my
authors.
particular blog, we moderate the comments because I don't like the idea of anonymous commenters coming in and taking shots of people. I'm not a fan of the Times comment section, unmoderated anonymous comment section.
It's the slums.
It's pretty sad, I wish that they can't. I understand that they don't have the time to moderate all this stuff, but it's really depressing that people are allowed to take shots at businesses and everything else, and who knows who's writing this stuff and what agenda they have. I find it very. I don't think it's helping the image. Whatever.
Well, our cameraman Alex gave me the 5-minute signal a couple minutes ago.
Oh,
so I want to begin to wrap up. This has been fun.
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to start a website, who do they call? How do you get a website?
A blog or a website?
No, a website. If you want to start a website,
if you want to build a
and
website,
you want to put your blog on there, how do you get a website?
If you want to build a static website, there's great people. There's Peter and Vicki Van Ness. There's Kathleen Valentine. They're two of the people that I would recommend you call if you're going to build a website in Gloucester. Local people that are very, very creative, very good.
So you can look up in the Yellow Pages.
Yep.
People who are involved in computers and website construction.
Yep, they're good. They're great. And then, but you don't have to pay people. For blog, you can start a blog for free. WordPress.com.
WordPress.com.
Yep, or Blogger.com.
Blogger.com.
And a new one is Tumblr. A lot of people seem to be gravitating towards Tumblr.
I just got the 3-minute signal from Alex, so I'm going to have to close down the show. Joey Ciaramitaro, I want to thank you very much for coming down on the Writer's Block. I know you worked all day, and it takes some effort to get juiced up again and come down here and even set up a camera to photograph us.
Yep.
I appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank our fans out there in TV land too. If you've learned something about this wonderful artistic website with a huge, huge sweep and a lot of talent, Good Morning Gloucester, from its creator, Joey Ciaramitaro, then the Writer's Block has done its job tonight. Thanks for being with us, and I hope to see you again next week on the Writer's Block. Good night.